You know something? I'm really tired of people talking shit about how America needs to stop being the world's police. Really, I am. I mean, for was it not the 18th century Edmund Burke who once wrote, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing"? I mean, think about that for a moment. Iran is a horrible place. Its government consists of horrible men, literally, bent on keeping their citizens oppressed in the most brutal fashion imaginable. These are facts. Now, America isn't perfect. Okay, I can admit that. But what country is? However, despite the many faults that plague this country, how many times have you or anyone else you know ever engaged in trying to incite a civil war within the confines of this country? The answer is obvious. Never. You know it and I know it. The last civil war this country saw was 170 years ago. When was the last time you saw citizens trying to flee this country? Can you honestly look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I feel oppressed by my government? I don't. And I'm not a government employee. I'm nobody. I'm insignificant. And though many, if not all, will oppose what I say, I've never felt like the man was keeping me down. I'm not rich, wealthy, or anything like that. Like I said, I'm a nobody. The problem with this world is the fact that good, decent people, people who should give a damn, choose not to. America seems to be balancing itself on a double-edged sword, meaning we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. If we choose to not help others that cannot help themselves, we as a nation are looked down upon as selfish and playboys, interested only in our own self-gratification. However, if we do intervene, we're still criticized. Being a cop is a very hard job. Anyone in law enforcement can tell you that. It's a very delicate balance that needs to be achieved in order to maintain order. Nations that choose not to get involved, though it is at their own discretion, and may not be looked upon as pariahs, usually end up being congratulated by the wrong people. Can you imagine if Switzerland was a superpower during World War II, and they had the means to annihilate Hitler's regime and prevent the genocide of millions of innocent people? But because they were too passive and didn't want to, look like they were butting in, they decided not to act. But then Hitler went to Switzerland and then shook their leaders' hands and told them, hey, you guys are all right by me. Think about that for a second. Well, that is precisely what will happen if we as a good nation choose not to act. I have read a lot of rhetoric, and yes, even some of my own words have made their way to various forums discussing what should be done about Iran, North Korea, and Pakistan. Though much of what is written by us is written out of frustration and anger. But nevertheless, something needs to be done about these horrible countries, and fast. Just ask yourself, why does Iran want nuclear technology so bad? And North Korea? I mean, seriously, this isn't some stupid trend, like how people see celebrities wearing tacky clothing and carrying chihuahuas in purses. And like sheep, they follow suit. Acquiring nuclear technology and weaponizing it takes quite a bit of technological know-how, and also requires absolute dedication and perseverance to get it done, not to mention copious amounts of money. It shouldn't take a psychic to see where the future is headed if nothing is done about these dangerous regimes. Many people ignored the signs when Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, which later became a catalyst that led to World War I. Many people also ignored the signs that in 1933, when Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, that he was about to start a war that would later encompass the entire globe and result in the death of tens of millions of people. We, as the last remaining true superpower, I guess other than Russia, have a responsibility we cannot afford to ignore. I mean, it's even in the fucking Declaration of Independence. I mean, this is a direct quote from that document. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter it or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I happen to agree with this wholeheartedly. If we lose our moral compass, the world is lost. Who then will guide us?